Hello everyone, Rob here with the Arc of Father Time, and holy cow, we've been talking about doing this one for a while. I hate that we have to do this, but it has to be done. We have to talk about politics. 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 I'm going to write this down first. See how much space we got. Oh, I got plenty of space, so I can write it big. Because it's such a big topic. So what are we going to talk about? We're going to talk about politics. Politics. Remember, I have bad handwriting. Ugh. And politics. And that's where what we're really going to talk about is politics. So what's politics? Now, first, this is for entertainment purposes only. I have to say it because I'm so ghosted. I can't monetize. So if you ever want to donate, feel free to donate. Everything is always improvised. This comes from an experience that I had when I was saved by Christ in a moment of desperation, an aortic aneurysm, and I was shown a few things, and all of the information that I have comes from my experience. And politics is something that we can have fun with, and we must. That's such a triggering phrase, man. Triggering word, whole thing. But we must count it all as joy. So again, this is for entertainment purposes only. This is from my experience, and this is just the way that I see the world. And I want you, if you have that ability, if you are born again, to know that even though this is the devil's playground, there is God and everlasting life in His Son that exists all around us. And it's okay to figure out where God might be in all of this story. This wonderful, grand illusion, this stage. So, politics and politics. Well, what is poly? Poly means many, right? And then we got tics. What are tics? Tics could be a tick of time, yeah. You can have a tic. There might be, an OCD part of you that must do something or must make a certain movement or must do whatever in order to function. So you have a tic, something that pulls you away from your task at hand. So you must satisfy a certain thing that exists within you. That also takes time away from you, right? And a tic is also a tick of time. A tick is also an insect, a blood-sucking insect or parasite. I guess it's just an insect of sorts. I'd say leech, but that's, counterproductive. So a tick sucks blood. We live in the body of Christ, in the blood of Christ, the everlasting life that exists all around us and permeates through the Spirit in all things. But many ticks of time, many distractions from your goal or activity, many blood-sucking, emotional energy drawing insects or parasites or whatever you want to say. And when I say, blood-sucking parasites, a lot of people can go, oh yeah, politics, I understand. Because we talked about the news. And the news is all about politics. All these problems in the world that pull our energy, even though it almost never pulls us to actually do anything. We just have conversations at the watering hole or at the coffee. the coffee maker. It's a good cup of joe. It's good. Sorry for slurping. I'll try to edit that out. I'm just wired and I'm ready to talk about some politics today. So, politics is, of course, a construction. It's a construction within this stage of illusion that polarize us into believing 50% of the population thinks we're an idiot. When the reality is that's not true at all. It's represented as true. But if you know even about sim farms, sim farming or cell phone farming, it's like, when, certain, YouTube channels say something that's off of what they're normally saying, and they lose a bunch of followers, right? And let's say what they said made sense, even though it was something different, or maybe they don't normally get into politics, and they just say, have compassion, have love, and have whatever about this other side, and then all of a sudden they lose 200,000 followers. They likely didn't lose 200,000 followers. Likely they had a sim farm or a cell phone farm, which has thousands of cell phones or tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of SIM cards. And those are accounts representative of real people. And it's just a dude in India with, 1,000 cell phones in his closet, and he can unsubscribe in mass or subscribe in mass. That happens everywhere in order to make us perceive the world, again, entertainment purposes only, in order for us to perceive the world as a 50-50 divide. And it's more like 80-20. And it's actually less than that. And then if we go a little bit farther, it's actually less than that. Politics is this illusion about all the problems of the world not having a solution. Every few years we vote on whether this particular person is going to fix these problems and that particular person is going to fix the same problems or different problems. Yet we still might drive on potholes all the time. Nobody needs to vote on whether all the streets need to be safe for everyone, yet the streets aren't safe for everyone. It's politics. It's the belief that there are problems in the world that we just can't solve. We can't fill in that pothole just yet. Maybe if you voted for the right person, we can fill that pothole. We're talking about going into space and going to Mars and creating a whole new world for people to sustain some form of life, and we haven't filtered all the water. We live in the illusion that somehow we can't grow food 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, safely and organically. It's politics. It's the illusion that we have all these problems that may or may not get solved if we may or may not choose the right candidate. We don't need two people to be the decider of whether the pothole gets filled or we have clean water. We as people just demand clean water. We go and fill the pothole. It's like in Los Angeles, I saw a guy who's, constantly getting ticketed or arrested for painting the crosswalks again. They get faded, he paints the crosswalks, and then he gets arrested for painting the crosswalks so people won't get hit by cars. Even though everybody in California does the California roll, and a crosswalk isn't necessarily going to save your life. Looking both ways will pretty much guarantee your safety. But as people, we know, hey, if I had paint in my car and we were allowed to, fix certain lines in the parking lot or in the street, we might want to learn to do that and go and paint some crosswalks every once in a while, just to make sure that everything's in tip-top shape. But you're going to get arrested for that. It's like Colorado. If you, try to collect water, you're going to get arrested or a ticket for collecting water, rainwater. I don't think it's much about the collection. It's more about, are you going to test that water or not? Because, is there barium and aluminum in all the snow or all the rainwater? Who knows? Somebody does. It's easy to test, right? There's a lot of reasons on why things are suppressed, and most of it is, or all of it is, the reality that God is real. That this is light. That Christ is the light of the world, that holds up the world. Politics should not be something that frustrates you. Count it all joy. Politics should not be something that divides you or makes you love your family or your neighbors or whatever less. Count it all joy. Understand that every person on every side has their feelings in love, and they're only receiving information from a certain perspective. I talked about this before. If you want to hate on people because of their politics, then you need to hop on their side, learn every single thing that they've learned, watch, their news channels for 30 days straight or 60 days straight and go, okay, I see why they think this. Or count it all joy. Understand that this improvisation in the body of Christ is something that allows for these discrepancies and allows for us to believe that the world is on fire, and sometimes that's a motivating factor for us. When I write my short stories and they're, very much futuristic and dystopian, is to understand that perfection doesn't necessarily bring peace and joy. When we see that there's a play going on and we have awareness that God is in control, even though this is a part of the devil's details, we can choose where we put our energy. We can find information that allows us to represent a different side to people with different opinions in a positive way. I'll talk about like atheists at some point. I think, atheism is very silly. But an atheist is somebody who has a lot of love, and they don't like what they perceive to be religion and religious people and overtly religious ideologies and all this other stuff. But they're judging God by the parish. They're seeking perfection in a world that is not designed for perfection. It's designed for polarity. In essence, it's like a test. I'm not saying it's a test, but it's like a test in the sense that we can overcome our polarity in politics and in opinions and in discourse with love, compassion, empathy. So I say, improv is a wonderful, wonderful skill to learn for everybody in the entire universe. One great thing about an improvisational actor compared to your average human, the actor knows they're improvising. The human is unaware that they're improvising. This is all improvisation. This is accepting the world that we're given and choosing how to change it in the best way possible, how to be the best light that we can possibly be. This isn't about works. This is our desire to have faith in God, have faith in His Son, to understand the story, to try to bring people to that everlasting understanding and accepting the gifts that God gave you. To understand that the way you're going to change the world is with the gifts that God gave you, with the stories that you live with the memories of all the good and bad things, and seeing those problems manifested in reality and saying, I think I'm going to take on that mission. I'm going to bring God into that environment. And that's the best we can do. This is politics. This is the fear that there's all these problems out there that we just can't figure out how to solve. That's silly. We all know that there's solutions. We all know that we want clean water. We all know that we want all the potholes filled. We all know that we want everybody to be fed, to have a home. Yet we say, well, they didn't earn it. I understand. I understand, capitalism, and I understand, free will and having the ability to create business and to make money and to work really, really hard and to make a good living. But that shouldn't stop us from understanding or realizing that we have the ability to make water clean. We have the ability to feed the world. The fruits of the world are free, but we fence them in and we only allow them to grow in certain places. There should be fruit trees everywhere, just in case. But we don't do that. The law should be that we should have fruit trees everywhere, so people can go and eat. But we get stopped, short of common sense. We can push a button and make bricks fly out of a robot's butt all day long. We can build beautiful houses. We can build beautiful things. I understand, someone contributes more, they get greater things. That should be, in essence, the way that it works. We contribute our lives as believers to save treasures for heaven. But not everybody knows God. Not everybody knows that glory. It's up to us to represent ourselves as a light that has that faith and has that knowledge. And then people go, well, where did you get that? Say it was a gift. It's a gift from the man above. Let me show you what it is. There's a lot of things that may or may not get fixed through politics. There's a lot of things stopping us from planting fruit trees all over the world. Why don't we have that ability? Why isn't all the water clean? Why is there a lack in food and shelter? We're a civilized society. Why aren't we just focused on eliminating poverty altogether as a non-existing thing that doesn't have to exist at all? This belief exists within all of us. This belief also carries a mass amount of guilt within everyone. So the first thing they say is, we can't do that. It's not enough money. Money does not make material. People will paint the lines on the crosswalks if you just let them. People will fill potholes the second they start if you just let them. People will go out and build fields of homes with fruit trees everywhere if we just let them. There's a million ways to get God into society, tangibly, like planting trees and filling potholes. We don't have to let this, as wonderful of a show as it really is, count it all joy. And people are falling so hard for this stuff. Wow. In a world of God and Christ and light, it must have a purpose. God is guiding this whole thing. Just because it might be, in the ear of the devil while he runs amok, doesn't mean the devil can do anything without God, because he can't. You have to give him permission to make you fall for this. And it's not that it's not entertainment, They make it new, but only through Christ are things new. So then you all of a sudden get stuck in the news and there's no new that's coming out of you. That doesn't mean that you can't make things new and become a politician. It doesn't mean that you can't make things new and fill all the potholes. It's when all of our thoughts and desires are projected to the children of God. When you see everyone as a child of God, you want to help in the best way that you possibly can. Instead of going, well, they're a child of God, but they're on the other side of politics. What? Do we not understand that, everybody who's screaming at us from whatever side has love in their heart? It's just misguided. It's politics. It's a way to take your time. It's a way to suck the everlasting life out of you, like a tick. And there's many of those ways. There's politics in everything. It's because this is all God. And we should treat it as believers or knowers that these are all his children. That's that. Guided or misguided. Love them. They don't know what they're doing. And that's okay. We all will have that connection to God in our time. And if you can provide that connection for people, wonderful. But that does not mean that they'll have ears. And it doesn't mean that it's their time. But that doesn't mean that it was wasted either. It's always good to share the joy and the love and the glory of Christ every single time you get a chance to say it. Rambling about Christ is the greatest thing in the world. I hope that you have an amazing, amazing, blessed day and you don't let any of this stuff bother you. Count it all joy. Just laugh and go, them's the breaks. My name's Rob. This is the Ark of Father Time, and I pray that you have an amazing, 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 blessed day. Thank you.